the Crystal Mountain Range. And we're standing above it, and you can see through the trees Loon Lake. Jared and I have a hope. The peaks, whoa, there's an eagle. Come on, Jared. Our hope is to take the Rubicon and then to work our way left up the ridge to the peak. We don't know what it's like till we get there. It's very primitive. There are no trails. Cool. All right, son, let's try to beat those Jeeps. Very scenic backcountry here. This is a hiker's dream. I mean, technically, if you're really into the Sierras and mountain climbing and rock climbing and looking for Bigfoot, this is the area to do it. I mean, keep in mind, when I take everybody to these locations, I take you guys to these locations because I want people to get something out of this. To be able to see some scenery and these beautiful sights that exist. And we're doing just that. We're living the dream. But we're on our way to the Devil's Peak, or at least we want to work with it. It doesn't mean we have to stand on top, but we do have to. That's a quadrant we need to really check out. And the only way we're going to check it out is by going up to the ridge and trying to get below the summit where there's some sand like this that could expose some possible Bigfoot tracks. Loon Lake. It's a nice sight to see.
I want to run because it'll make you flip. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a little den in the side of Devil's Peak. Little, well, they call them dens, outcrops, caves. It could be a cave system. You never know unless you check it out. They have piles of rocks from glacier activity where it piles it on one another, and sometimes you can go down in there and it opens up to a room. Anyhow, we found this in the side of hiking at Devil's Peak. You never know. That brush would kill you to go through. This is red brush. I'll tell you what, it'll stab the hell out of your legs. You'll bleed, and it won't feel too pleasant. There's another outcrop. You never know what's in those areas. It's big enough for something to kind of, an animal or even Bigfoot to kind of hunker down during a storm. Loon Lake, bunch of volcanic domes of the Crystal Mountain Range. Jared and I have been switchbacking. We're working our way up to the ridge up here. This is a peak to the right, and then you have the Devil's Peak to your left. Here's the thing, folks. I believe that we can summit this peak. And when I believe something, trust me, I can do it. So can you. That's why our major, we have this one saying we use, or quote. It's just one word. Do you know what that one word is on our website? Believe. That's all it says, believe. You have to believe that you can do this, because if you don't believe it, you will not do it. I believe we can do it. It's all meadows. Yeah, it ascends a little, but it's not a bad ascension. Oh, cool. Look at those red flowers. Wow. Look, we're almost level with that peak.
Yeah.
And that peak's directly across from there, so cool, man. We're doing it.
I know.
We're almost to the top. Oh, cool. We're doing it, man. We are doing it, brother.
Oh,
awesome.
Shit.
What? What? Holy crap, dude.
That's a lot of ants.
Thousands. I'm just keeping everybody up to date on our progress. We're climbing Devil's Peak. I'm telling you, we're not too far from the peak. some guy said that we're crazy and that it's 5 miles to the top. It's not 5 miles. It's a lot of work. This wilderness that you see here is unforgiving. This brush will cut holes or stab holes into your calves and cut through your legs like butter. Not only that, it's steep, there's loose rocks. This is not something, if you're not a professional hiker and you don't know what you're doing, don't do this. Do not try this at home. Hell, as a matter of fact, do not try it at all. Loon Lake. We're camping. You see that hill right there? That ridge? We're camping about a quarter mile from the lake, straight where my finger is. Yeah, deep in the woods. The El Dorado woods. El Dorado National Forest. You can see why Bigfoot may conduct his operations here. What do you see for miles? Wow. Check this out. It's another lake. That's cool. I think that's Spider Lakes from up above. Wow. I guess now you can understand why I opted to climb Devil's Peak. It's one of the more stellar views of the region. And it's up in the Crystal Mountain range, but it's also a very gorgeous peak. Check that out. That's a cliff that resonates below the peak. Massive rock face. Jared's already on top of this peak. It's actually Devil's Peak summit, or sister summit. Oh yeah. Wow. Beautiful peak. I'll show you guys the site. That's Loon Lake, Spider Lake, Buck Island Lake, and Rockbound Lake. All of them which we will visit and investigate for tracks. We're on the edge of the Desolation Wilderness. Home to Madu, Washoe, and Miwok Native American tribes. These look like grinding rocks, but they're not. But they look like it. Wow. Pretty cool up here. Beautiful country.
Yeah.
Hulk smash! Ready? That's it?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are above Crystal Basin. Here's the Crystal Mountains. These are the Crystal Mountains. Actually, Lake Tahoe is just on the other side. You see that peak? That's the Lake Tahoe area. And we're about to summit, very close, Devil's Peak. And the lakes from up above here are amazing. The view is amazing. It's very flat at the plateau area. Just because it's flat does not mean it's not, that the terrain's not rough. This terrain is exceptionally rugged, which makes it an ideal location for a Bigfoot-like creature to climb up here and explore or hunt for other animals. Jared and I, we're really making good headway. Because I told him, I'm like, we got about 24 miles to go to the top. We might as well do it. Because I'm telling you, it's a good area to look for Bigfoot, but it's also an area that has some really great views of the lakes and the area we're camping, and puts it into perspective. So is it important to go up here? Yes. Jared and I have summited a lot of different mountains. What I'm interested in, there's a patch of woods before you reach the summit of Devil's Peak. Anything could be lurking in the woods. We could go in the woods. There's no path or way to get up here, so we could go in the woods and see a 12-foot Sasquatch just sitting there eating fruit, or tree banging, or building a shelter. Anything. It's just, I'm giving you examples, folks. I'm not saying that that's what would happen. I'm saying that the possibility will always be there, that when you visit areas like these where humans really cannot access, you're going to find out that you're going to find things that are out of this world. And so, with that in mind, we're about to summit it. These trees are about 125 feet in height, and the peak is just above the tree line. It's another 150 to 200 feet of elevation gain, and we'll be at the peak. Jared, I found an animal path up here. See it? Follow me. We have beautiful views of Loon Lake and the other lakes and summits in the region. The ground's soft, great for tracking Sasquatch. There's still a lot of brush and rocks. We have to maneuver around them. Devil's Peak. It's one of the greatest expeditions we've ever gone on in a long time. Then again, I say that about everyone. Now, what would make my day is having a Bigfoot sighting or finding some really good tracks. We'll be back with more footage. Holy shit. I cannot believe what I just seen, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. I cannot believe what I just seen. I was coming up into the woods of Devil's Peak, and I looked over to my left, where you see all that brush down in there, and thick woods and the cliffs, and something with dark brown fur, very muscular legs and arms, and a cone-shaped head. The head was cone-shaped, and just like heard a bunch of branches break, and I just see this bipedal. It wasn't a bear, but it's a bipedal, about 9 to 10 feet in height, Bigfoot-like creature. I'm telling you, this is remote. So of course, when you sit here and you put it into perspective, anything could be up here living. That thing was huge. But you know what? There's no paths up here, so you can see why. I'll try to check for tracks where it lumbered off to. But I'm telling you, around the chest was like 6 feet. The chest was huge. In the waist, the hip area, this is almost the top of the peak. You can see why it would be hanging just below the summit. There's wildlife here, no humans. It can look down over the cliffs, see if anyone's coming. It could smell you a mile away. Oh my God, Devil's Peak, you are my savior. Oh my God, this place is unfucking believable. Pardon my French, but I cannot believe what I'm witnessing. Looks like something tree banged the hell out of that. There's something up here. The bark's been stripped off. Could have been a brown bear or black bear, or, you know, they're so powerful, they could just knock the bark off with a few tree bangs. Let's continue to climb. That's the Lord Rick. Woo! Yeah! We made it. Yeah! Devil's Peak! Yeah! Yeah! I am stoked. We are standing at the summit of Devil's Peak. Oh my God, check this out. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. This tells you how high we are. Look, 360 degrees. Loon Lake. If you look right here, that's where I'm camping. Right there. Top of my finger. Christina is camping. See a peninsula? Right in there, you see that little cove? That's where Christina and her team are camping. They're over at camp and I'm up above their camp, thousands of feet above it. Jared, look, look. Check this, what I just found, Jared. No. Department of Agriculture, Devil's Peak, 1949. That's how you know we're here. Look at that. That is awesome. In 1949, that's when they marked it. See? It says Devil, 1949.
When are we going to climb that?
Yeah, right. This is a far more rewarding peak. You can see all the lakes.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, together!
But I'm going to point out some sights. As you can see, all these little peaks, such as, for example, Pyramid Peak, to the southwest. Lake Tahoe is just beyond this ridge line. All these you see, every little summit, for example, here, 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 here. I'm sorry, I'm just joking around, but these are all summits, geological landmarks. This canyon below us is massive. You have to keep in mind that the Rubicon River and other rivers and creeks in the region have formed these massive canyons that you see. And this massive canyon has the river flowing also. There's the American River that flows through here and the Rubicon. I mean, you know, you're talking millions of years of erosion, so these canyons are deep. And also, they're much more eroded due to glaciers that were a mile thick, just pushing through and carving out some of the canyons that you see. There's all cliffs around the peak, so you have to be careful not to get to the edge because you can slip and fall. But these are cliffs. It does not get any better than this, man. And I'm going to show you the lakes. Loon Lake, one of the largest lakes in the El Dorado National Forest. Then you have Spider Lake, Buck Island Lake, and Rockbound Lake, and Fawn Lake's over here, but you cannot see it. All these lakes, all in a series, they're all tiered next to one another at different elevations. There's even, it's kind of hard to see, you can't see it down in here, there's two little lakes as well. But we're up here, man, we have excelled in every way possible today. And I did go look for tracks, and I realized that the granite, it's leaving impressions, but there's no toes. Decomposed granite caves in on itself, so unfortunately we have no tracks. It was a pretty credible sighting, and my hunch was right. There is something that roams around this peak. That explains why there's so many sightings, because this creature can go down in this canyon and just disappear, and nobody would ever see it, even if it hiked or traversed the canyon. By the way, this is the Crystal Mountains, the Crystal Mountain Range, and this is the Crystal Basin, which has dozens of lakes throughout it. The Desolation Wilderness is also on the other side. Basically, if you climb over these mountains, you have nothing but, you have Desolation Wilderness starting at Rockbound Lake, which is down here, and if you climb over the peaks, you have other parts of the Desolation Wilderness as well. Maggie Peak is on the other side, and Mount Talek, we've climbed those. And then, of course, you have Lake Tahoe. Anything from the Crystal Mountains to Lake Tahoe is all Desolation Wilderness, almost. Nearly. Not quite, but almost to the shores of Lake Tahoe. West Lake Tahoe. And you're looking at a beautiful lake. These islands that are exposed are normally not supposed to be exposed. The water due to the drought, the water level is around, I don't know, 50 to 100 feet below what it should be right now, thus exposing multiple granite islands. But look at that. It's surreal. That's a cliff. We did it. Everybody said I would not do this. Even my own girlfriend said, there's no way you'll make it. It's 5 miles. She's like, it's 5 miles straight up. It's not. You have to know the little shortcuts and paths and safest ways to take, and you can cut some time off the peak, off your climb. You can't climb it straight up. There's cliffs and brush as tall as I am that will cut you up and stab you. Speaking of stabbing, see my finger? I cut it all the way to the bone. My knife closed on my finger. And I was fixing my belt, and all of a sudden, bam, cut right down to the bone, and I still continue my climb. All these lakes that you see at one time, well, the reservoirs, not so much Loon Lake, but some of the reservoirs that are found here were one-time meadows that ranchers used to herd their sheep and cattle. Many ranchers in the 1800s settled here and early pioneers, and eventually what they did is they flooded the meadows and diverted the creeks, and they built dams and powerhouses. You can actually see one of the dams in Loon Lake. There's one of them, and there's actually another one right there. They dammed it off so that they could use divert some of the water to be used to generate electricity, and they do have some powerhouses in the area. These reservoirs also provide water for some of the local smaller towns along Highway 50. Beautiful country. Look at that. Straight over the edge. It's, like I said, it's almost surreal being up here. And in ancient times, the Madu, the Miwoks, and the Washoe traversed the Crystal Basin. They had villages along some of the streams and lakes. They hunted for food. There's abundance of wildlife here and other sources of food. So you got to take into consideration this is an ancient area. And after the natives had left the area, eventually the early pioneers and ranchers came here because the land is fertile, it's rich, it's full of water. And also keep in mind, wherever there's a lot of bodies of water, remoteness, and everything else that you need for sustainability, such as a food source, you're going to find a lot of high and usually Bigfoot sightings. This area is covered. If you look at a map dot to dot of sightings and reports and tracks, this whole area is shaded. There's at least 3,000 to 4,000 little specks covering this whole area. I heard there's a lot of UFO reports around Devil's Peak, but I also know for a fact that this area I stand is one of the highest intense Bigfoot locations in the world. And I'm standing here at the focal point of it all. It's great to be here, and I'll tell you right now, I don't care what anybody says, this is one of the best things that could happen to any Bigfoot investigator. Not only to summit one of the most beautiful peaks in the Crystal Basin, but to actually have a Bigfoot sighting to go with that. Doesn't get any better than this. This is Lord Rick. Peace. Check us out, www.paranormalghostsociety.org. Yeah, baby. Just to put things into perspective in the view, you can see I'm on the summit. You can't fake this. I'm here, and it's on like Donkey Kong. No, I mean, it's being silly, but we are standing on the cliffs of Devil's Peak at the summit. And 360 degrees is nothing but remote wilderness. The El Dorado National Forest, the Desolation Wilderness, and 1,000 square miles of 1,000 square miles of nothingness but mountains, forests, streams, lakes, reservoirs, canyons. This is the heart of the Sierra Nevadas. Crystal Basin, California. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, one other thing. They call this Devil's Peak because this is an extinct volcano we're sitting on. You can tell it's very rugged. There's a lot of granite. Definitely. You know, there's multiple little summits here. It's amazing that we found the little brass tag bolted into the rocks that says Devil on it. This is the summit we're standing on. And it's labeled as the summit. Just labeled Devil. It's Devil's Summit, Devil's Peak. We can't see Lake Tahoe, but it's just over the Crystal Mountains. It's very beautiful. Views of Pyramid Peak and the Crystal Mountains and the Crystal Basin. Yeah. Like I said, everything has its rewards. Nothing comes without working for it in this field. You have to work to be able to see sights like these. You're not going to see sights like these staying back at camp, drinking and smoking, or wanting to take the easy route out. There is no easy way in this field. The hardest way is the best way. The hardest way is going to produce you the results. The field work is going to get you results. There are no results unless you're willing to go the extra mile. If you're willing to do that and put yourself out there a little, you're probably going to see things like UFOs and Bigfoot and ghost and all these, and discover paranormal things that most people never get to see in their life. And that's what it's about. We're making discoveries. We're doing it all the time. Oh, repeat it. We're always repeating that behavior. It's just good reputability, but it's good ethics and morale for a paranormal investigator to not half-ass your work, but to fully work hard at something with passion, blood, sweat, and tears that'll produce the answers and the truth that you seek, so that we can come back with the story and educate the public a little about creatures like Bigfoot and make discoveries and contribute to the paranormal community. That's what we're doing right now. We're making a contribution by climbing this peak, so people can kind of see that there are things out there that defy explanation, and the only way you're ever going to find them is if you actually go out there and traverse mountains like these. Wow. Although Devil's Peak is not one of the highest in the region, 7,600 feet is definitely something to boast about, considering all the rock climbing and brush you have to push through. 7,600 feet is pretty commendable, considering you start all the way off at this lake and you have to traverse all the way through the wilderness and around the cliffs and work your way up this peak and through this brush. There's areas where the brush is so thick and rugged, it'll just slice you open like butter. So you have to work your way all around these rocks and cliffs and brush just to make it on the summit. So it's almost like climbing a trail of 14,000, 15,000 feet, except with all the obstacle course. Even though it's only a little over 7,000 feet, it's a very hard peak to climb because there's no paths, no trails. You just create your own. We're going to take a break, and we're going to head on out of here. You're standing on Devil's Peak. We're descending off Devil's Peak. We'll recheck for tracks. It's amazing. Now, who would ever think that, you climb some remote summit, you don't expect to find Bigfoot, you don't expect to see it, or even know of its existence. And then you come on up here and you're not, like I said, you're not expecting to see anything. You might find a erratic track or two. You might find some erratic tracks in the middle of nowhere and then they disappear, which is very strange. But to actually have a sighting, a 3-4 second sighting, my camera doesn't even turn on quick enough for that. That's why it's so hard to get these creatures on camera. I now realize it. Unless you're walking around filming, because you know what's going to happen at that time and place, you're not getting this creature. I understand now completely. I've had multiple sightings. It's the same thing. They're just 2-3 steps are gone, But going down isn't as bad as going up. You can really cover some miles of wilderness by trekking down. Try to make it today to Shadow Lake. We need ice for our cooler. All the food's getting really bad. I wouldn't say bad, it's just, it's warming up. It's got to be cooked and used, or it's gonna, tomorrow it's gonna spoil, and that's a huge waste of money. Here's the woods. Yeah, be careful, Jared. Being by yourself here can be a scary picture. Some Bigfoot counters are very lethal, and some are good, but I had a lady who studies Bigfoot and goes looking for this creature, and she's like, good job, guys, with the vocalizations and all the evidence, but she also said to me, you know, that to be careful because there's some encounters that are really bad, and she's had a few bad ones. So oh, he'll eat brownies. There's some little deer tracks and things around here, but no Bigfoot tracks. I'm going to send you a movie. I want you to watch it on your PC. You don't have to watch it. You can listen to it while you play your game. It's about people coming up missing from Sasquatch attacks. Their clothes are found neatly piled. They'll often find sometimes the body high up in areas. Like an hour later, a helicopter will go looking for the person because somebody will be like, hey, they'll be like, hey, I hiked and I can't find the person. They're supposed to be there, and the forestry will come in and find the body way up on a cliff with no explanation at all, except that the person in a short time went from point A to point B to areas that man really cannot get to. It's almost like they were abducted out of a UFO and then dropped out of the sky. Like the cattle are found with all their bones broken as if they've been dropped after the aliens had taken parts from them, like genital parts, tails, ears, eyes, half a jawbone, all those different, yeah. But the missing 411 is about, they discuss, well, you know, there's obviously a lot of missing people, but they discuss odd cases. Like outside Las Vegas, there was this kid playing near the parents' camp. The kid went to go get his ball and vanished without a trace, and they spent, we're talking probably 1,000 man-hours of groups of folks searching for this child. It's not a very large area around Mount Charleston, and these things happen. So definitely I try to keep everybody together out of fear that something will happen to one of my investigators or me or even you, you know? Because you could go 100 feet ahead of me and something could pounce on you from the tree, put you over its shoulder, and run off before I have a chance to see it. But yeah, look at this area is very dense. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to be real quiet coming through here. It's not like they cannot hear us coming, or this creature can smell us or have good hearing to say, hey, I'm going to jet. But sometimes, you know, just like human beings, they make mistakes, and it's quite possible that this creature was busy trying to hunt or blend in and just happened to see it. But right in here is where we had our sighting. A little bit of an impression down there, but it's not a print. It's just like the dirt's all pushed down. Look at that. This is where I had my sighting, or at least this is where it lumbered off. But Missing 411 is a really good show because it discusses the possibility that maybe these missing and vanished people are victims of Bigfoot cannibalism, or such as a Sasquatch killing somebody and burying them up in the forest, or, for example, eating the human being and leaving the bones. Like up at Kings Canyon, they found bones. It's not a very difficult area to traverse, and then to see bones, human remains, that the marrow's been sucked out and they've been picked clean. It's just ungodly, or it's just horrific. Right up in here. Oh yeah. Looking all around. You ever hear the saying, it gets too quiet, look out? Things are getting a little bit too quiet here. I hear the birds. I'm looking for tracks. I do not see tracks of anything of a creature like this. Not even if it was, for example, if it was a bear, don't you think you'd leave tracks? No. No, this creature's as mysterious as anything else that we discover in the world that's new. We have a lot to learn about it. I mean, when you're a cryptozoologist, discovering new species is a science. And if it's not a science, it definitely is a thankless job. People don't appreciate men like me in the field. They don't understand what we do. Sightings are rare, but they do happen more frequently up in the Crystal Basin area, which really draws my curiosity. Which really draws my curiosity as to why are these creatures here? Is it the water? Is there a plentiful amount of food? Is that because you could hike 100 years here through the forest and hide without ever being seen by another human being? Could they nab a hiker on occasion? Perhaps if food becomes scarce, they could eat a human, eat a liver, and that would keep them alive. Right? Missing? Yeah. Maybe, but you know what I'm thinking? Is that food might be scarce up here. There's not a lot of wildlife, so let's say I'm hiking by myself up here and I run into that creature and he sees nobody else is with me. Don't you think he'd try to make an attempt to kill me so it could eat? Isn't it a fact that they're going to do what they want to do to survive? If they're going to do whatever it takes to survive, and what that means is that this is a creature that still has to be treated like a wild animal. Although most of the encounters we had were friendly, you know, sometimes they look at you and lumber off. Like for example, today, seeing that thing lumber off in that meadow of flowers in the woods, there's a little meadow in the woods, just a little meadow. That's a perfect area for a Sasquatch to sit down, eat its fruit that it collects, or foliage, even something that it could have been, you know, eating something. But then it just wanders off and lumbering slow 3-4 steps. It's like it's gone. It's like, did it go up the tree? Is it hiding behind the tree, watching us? You just don't know. You just don't know. You have to consider all possibilities. Folks, we're going to work on our descent. So I'm out of here for now. If I see anything interesting, I will film it. I'm glad I was able to bring our viewers not only the bottom of Devil's Peak from the famous Rubicon, Rubicon Trail, you could drive over giant boulders. There's Jeep clubs, sometimes as many as 20 different Jeeps. Some people soup up their SUVs, put giant tires and lifts. And we hiked all the way along Loon Lake and seen the massive, it looked like something flew through the clouds and it created these, it looked like a spine. You could see these ridges as it shot through the clouds. And then, no, it's a cliff. You gotta go straight or you gotta go here. But it looked like something went, you could see it went right through the clouds. And then when we noticed, I had filmed and photographed it. When it was brought to my attention, I looked up and I could not believe what I was seeing. It was fascinating. It wasn't even a chemtrail. There was a trail that went under, it started at the bottom of the cloud and shot through the clouds and above the cloud. And then when I looked at the formation, it was no normal contrail or chemtrail. It just traversed in the sky for hundreds of feet went through the cloud and then dissipated. It's almost as if something went through something, all of a sudden went from point A to super speed mode and shot into orbit. So we're going to keep traversing off the peak. But I'll tell you what, you will not believe your eyes. Some of the things we see are unreal. Family-oriented group. And we definitely get a lot done on our expeditions. Blood, sweat, and tears. Nothing's ever easy. Nothing's going to ever get handed to you. You got to work for what you have in life. Just like in the paranormal field, you have to work to have sightings like these. Nobody's going to hand it to you. You have to be willing to explore and give some sacrifice to the field. And I'm glad we made it up here. Oh, sorry, man. You have to give a limb for this field. If you're not willing to do that, you shouldn't be involved looking for Bigfoot. You can't call yourself a paranormal investigator or a cryptozoologist unless you're willing to put in the field work. You're right. We were standing all the way up there. See where the trees were over there? Yeah. Isn't it creepy? But look how fast we had gotten down. Oh, I know, isn't it pretty? We stood. Right? Put a house, nice road up to the top, have a house overlooking everything. You'd be king of the mountain, king of the world. Yeah. It's a nice place. I'll miss it. We worked hard. There's a lot of cliffs and a lot of brush. That's what took so long. It's like an obstacle course. Wasn't that... I mean, that wasn't a chemtrail or contrail. Remember what shot through the clouds? It started at the bottom of the cloud and went through the top of the cloud and disappeared. As if something shot off the orbit at thousands of miles an hour and caused... Well, what was weird is if you looked at the clouds, there was ripples. And I've never seen ripples like that. But there was ripples in the clouds, like something caused distortion within the clouds, almost as if it interdimensionally traveled. Like it all of a sudden it was like on below the object or whatever was moving through there, may have time warped, time traveled, jumped, or had flown off the orbit, causing the disorientation of the clouds. It was, when I looked at it, it was like the Sierras, man. No, it was like, when I looked at it, it was like the Sahara Desert. You ever see how it's sand and ripples? It looked like that, right? And there was ridges. If you looked at the trail it made, it looked like spinal bones. Like what could cause a jet makes a straight stream, a plane? That was no plane or jet, and that went straight up and down, dude. That may have been UFO related. Hold on. I need to get a picture of this flower. It's rare. Yeah, there was some dissipation between the clouds or disorientation. Something flew through those clouds and then it vanished without a trace, causing it to leave that pattern. Maybe the object was square or had some other odd shape, and that's... Maybe it had these a propulsion system, right? Causing it to look like a spine because of the way the propulsion is on the object. So I assume it's an object because that's not natural. That's not natural. So, oh, look at that bird. Ladies and gentlemen, we're continuing our descent. Thank you for flying with Lord Rick Paranormal Lines. Please fasten your seatbelt. We're getting ready for liftoff. Actually, it feels like liftoff. We have gotten some strange things. There was also last night, Jared seen an object, and it was twinkling while the other object was revolving around it, which is common in UFO cases, where a smaller craft enters a bigger one, a mothership. And I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. There's probably motherships or alien ships in our world that are the size of the moon, and they can cause the gravitational field on Earth to be disrupted. Think about it. Because these aliens would use bigger ships so that they had smaller ships to scout other planets in the solar system, to mine, abduct humans. If they need a food source, they have it. They could abduct animals for all you know. It's hard to say. It's fun to theorize. And that's all they are, is theories. Some of my theories hold weight, other theories could be possible or not possible. That's why they're theories. We'll try to test the theories. We'll make a hypothesis, we'll test them, and see if these claims are true. Safety tip 957. When you traverse the side of a mountain, please be careful. It is slippery. I know I say this all the time, but no, seriously. This brush will cut you up. You fall, you might get stabbed in the chest. So as a safety precaution, hold the rocks. If you have to climb on the side of a mountain through brush like this, try to step over everything, not through it. If you don't want to get cut up, proper footwear, pants to prevent you from getting cut up in the wilderness. Especially when it comes to desolation wilderness, you really need to be careful and cautious. I seen today this insect I could not photograph. I've never seen an insect like this. It had the weirdest wings and body. Could have been a new insect. Cryptozoologists find insects as well, and new animal species and aquatic life and birds. Oh yeah. I also seen a hummingbird. There's a couple hundred species of hummingbird, and it was there's this tree at the peak of Devil's Mountain, and the hummingbird was just hovering next to the tree. We were sitting 10 feet away from it, but as you guys know, for one, they're very small, and two, extremely fast and agile. And as soon as I grabbed my camera, bam, the hummingbird flew off. Same with the Sasquatch sighting. You see it 1 minute, and the next minute it's gone. As fast as you can see it is as fast as it disappears. Whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, a lot of times UFOs do not stay put in one location very long. I've had some long sightings where they lasted 15 minutes. And we have a few of those on YouTube, because I do believe in backing up my words with evidence. Sometimes you can't. That's why you have to build reputability among your friends. I don't do this for fun. I do this because the truth is what everyone needs to understand. Everyone needs to know the hidden things in our world. And my oh my, what a strange world it is indeed. Oh, this mountain's crazy. To go all the way down, it's brutal. Brutal. Granite slopes. It's a harsh wilderness. Pyramid Peak I seen off in the distance. Not many men have been up here. At least per year, this peak gets a handful of people. Everybody's more interested in riding the jeep trails below. And few people realize what lurks above. And what lurks is beyond our understanding in these woods. Maybe Bigfoot's a time traveler, or a creature from another world, or maybe they're the original humans of the planet, and DNA and evolution had gotten altered, and humans are a subspecies or an alteration of Sasquatch. Yeah, but we'll miss We don't want to miss our opportunity to get on the road and then have to find Tammy. Yeah.
We'll go hit it really soon.
Oh yeah, we'll hit the road. The descent. I have a rock in my shoe. Yep. Little sharp pieces of granite that stab you in the toes and foot. It's like, ow, ow. Uh-huh. Wow, look at those cliffs. Right here, right?
Yeah.
And then where it's flat?
Yeah.
Okay. Working our way down. Pretty soon we'll be on that Jeep trail and hiking into the sunset.
Are we gonna be taking
Westward.
Are we be taking the Jeep trail down? I mean,
Oh yeah. Remember where the 1.5 mile marker is?
yeah.
1.5 miles to the Jeep from that point.
Oh, okay.
The parking lot?
Yeah.
So yeah. Yep. Yep. The whole way is downhill. Oh man, we just rock scrambled all the way through these cliffs here. Had to go around and meander through the canyon. This is the canyon. Come out here. And now, look, there's the camp.
Oh crap, yeah.
Remember we went through the camp and up?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right here. We're just a little ahead of it. So we saved ourselves a little. We have to go through the brush. There's the Jeep trail. Go over here and down.
Yeah.
Not worth getting all cut up and having to push through. Here it is. It's a little trail down. Not a trail, but a little wash where water runs down and animals hike through, breaking the brush. Right here. This will put us almost in front of the road.
Oh yeah.
That's just good hiking. There's no trails, and we hiked. There's no trails, and you and I hiked to the peak, and we hiked off the peak, and we're coming out right near the Jeep road. That's some damn fine wilderness skills, huh?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Look, there's the road. We did it, man. Somebody told Tammy, ladies and gentlemen, that you got to be crazy to climb this peak. It's 5 miles from the Jeep road. Well, it's about 5, he says 5 miles from where we're standing on the bottom. We already hiked 5 miles to get here. So we don't have a Rubicon or something to handle the roads. Actually, if I drove my Jeep slow enough, I could probably do it. It's very bad on the suspension if you don't have a good lift. You could hit the rocks, damage the bottom. It's beautiful because we're at the bottom, near the road, and then if you hike beyond the road, there's Loon Lake, which is that beautiful massive lake that I filmed and photographed for our viewers. Make sure you check out our site, www.paranormalghostsociety.org, if you would like to check out our pictures. We cover everything on our site. Expeditions cover nature, the paranormal, reports, audio evidence, videos, history, and anything else that we can add to our website per location. But this is the Rubicon Jeep Trail. Tammy's footprint?
Yeah.
She probably went up there to look where the camp is. We know she came this way back, right?
Yeah.
But there's other people that are here too, but that's hers.
Yeah.
See how sandy, ladies and gentlemen? You see the rocks? Yeah, do not get this confused with the Rubicon hiking trail in West Lake Tahoe. There's also one You can take your Jeep on east in the East Rubicon Trail in Lake Tahoe. And this Rubicon Trail is up near the Desolation Wilderness in the El Dorado National Forest. It's the world famous trail. As you can see, climbing these boulders in and out could be quite a tedious task. And today I filmed and watched some of the Jeeps do that. Whew, what a workout. This sun is killing me. Heat exhaustion almost. This is Lord Rick. The Rubicon Trail. There's Loon Lake. Some souped up Jeeps and SUVs that come through here. Some with giant tires. It's made for climbing, isn't it? It's pretty cool, huh? Looks like fun. Oh yeah, bottoms up, ladies and gentlemen. I stood with my son Jared at the top of Devil's Peak. Looks like from far away just a pile of boulders, but that's a 400 to 400 foot cliff to the bottom almost, or a rock face. These peaks are amazing up here. That triangular peak is really awesome. The Rubicons are still journeying. It's pretty cool. Wow, crazy. There it is in full bloom. There it is in full view. Devil's Peak. Check out that. It's hundreds of feet down from the top of the cliffs. Yeah, that's a deadly fall. We didn't get anywhere near the cliffs.
You can just fall and fall.
Yeah. We're gonna sneak up on Tammy. She doesn't know we're hiking down here. Scare her a little bit. Huh. Leaving behind a beast of its own, we stand at the bottom of Devil's Peak. You have to forgive me, folks, my camera is not working well. The zoom is getting stuck, it's vibrating a lot. I'll have to get this problem fixed. I'm replacing the whole cam. We're heading back down to Loon Lake. The Rubicon Trail actually split up in multiple directions. This should take us out to the deep, it almost looks like a deep pit. And then you gotta climb out of it to get to the dam. An amazing view from on top of Devil's Peak. Some of the best views you're gonna see in the United States of America today. What me and Jared did, ladies and gentlemen, was monolithic in every which way possible to be able to see what we seen, to be able to get the scenic photos that we captured, the lakes we seen up there, the peaks. Oh my God, into the Desolation Wilderness. Surreal. It was so surreal today. And Jared and I, we conquered that beast. Of course, it really wasn't that bad. You just had to know which way to take, how to climb around the cliffs, and go through the least amount of brush and resistance, which we did do safely the whole entire way up and the whole entire way down. We made it. The dam should be straight ahead. curves around to the right, then to the left, and then you climb out of the pit, I call it the pit, and back right onto the dam. We're parked on the dam. Folks, it's another chapter in the Paranormal Ghost Society Chronicles. We're safe. I fell a couple times, caught myself a few times, all in good fun. The road's very slick or slippery. You have these quartz crystals and granite crystals on these rocks, a little bit of sand, and you step down and there's a little slope and bam, you go right down on your ass. Look at that little, that's so you can see where the trail is at night. Of course, at night it's no fun because you got to be able to enjoy the scenery. Oh yeah, a couple people bottomed out or hit the bottoms really hard, falling off the rocks. You can do serious damage if you're not careful and don't know what you're doing. Well, the sun is behind some clouds. I'm cooling down. And we're going to head back to the Jeep. This is your founder, author, talk show host, AngelOfThyNight Radio, founder, once again, of the Paranormal Ghost Society, paranormal investigator, producer, Lord Rick, also known as Angel of Thy Night. You gotta be careful. I just sprained my ankle on that rock. Oh, that hurt. These crevices. You gotta be very meticulous when you hike around here.
I got a little sunburn.
Alright. Devil's Peak. Reflectors, yeah.
Goes down.
This is all the Rubicon Trail here. This is basically driving on big granite slabs. Crazy. Look at this. How do you get over this shelf right here? Look. How do you'd have to go around. You can't get over. Yeah.
Somebody's been through there. Look at all this.
Yeah, I know. Crazy. I'd drive right through here. Just go right over here and cut up. It's safer. Or shear your whole bottom out. Leaving Devil's Peak area. Heading up to the Loon Lake Dam. Yeah. There's a thunderstorm coming. I wonder if it's going to rain tonight. I was going to go to Shadow Lake too, but I'm not going to have time now. Because I'm not beat up. I didn't get a single scratch up there. Me and him went, what we did is we went past the road on Devil's Peak. And we went past the peak itself, where the cliffs were. And where the ridge almost met with the road by 150, 200 feet. And we climbed it to one ridge. Because the brush in that area is all new. It's only 2 inches tall the whole way up to the ridge. Yeah. But the brush was only a couple inches, but we had to go further up the road, up the Rubicon, and then we made a left in between the rock, like this. Yeah, I don't know, man. But we ended up taking the road, cut left where the plants weren't as high, because where that restroom is, and I left you in that area, we separated the. There's a lot of brush taller than me. It's red brush. It cuts you up. So I told Jared, when the brush gets a little lower and we get a little higher on the road, it won't be as abundant. And I was right. And then we went up. We just scattered up some rocks. It wasn't too steep. There was 3-4 major hills, but they were gradual ascensions. And then the next stop was the ridge, which we followed into a patch of woods and came out, and there was the peak right there. And it overlooks this lake. It overlooks the Rubicon Canyon, if that's what it's called, or at least the rivers below. There's cliffs. You can see 6 lakes up there, 6, and multiple peaks, and an opening where Lake Tahoe is. And I could see our Christina's campsite, and I also seen our campsite all the way down on the other end of the lakes. The views are simply breathtaking where I was at today. It was worth the 6 hours. It was. Alright, how are we going to get up? Guess I just keep going up or what? Wow. Sun's going down. This is the Rubicon River below. There's actually some decent rapids flowing. I'll see if I can get everyone a little bit closer and take you on in. It's hard to believe we're so far away from Devil's Peak now. It's very small and we're very far away. Here's the river. Trout. It's a nice little wide area. This is where the dam is also. The Loon Lake Dam. Look at this. Water's just pouring and shooting out from the bottom. Oh yeah. And the Jeep's on top of the dam. We're back and we're alive. Wow, we're at the top of the dam. I'll get you, hold on. I got so much in my pockets. I'm like Mega Man. I got like 10 pounds of weight. Oh, wow. Hell yeah. There's Devil's Peak in the background.